Hi, it's Tash. Welcome to Tash's Library. Today's video is my Scientific September announcement for 2025. This is the third year that I'm doing Scientific September. Initially started this as a way of getting myself to read more non-fiction science books and some more science fiction, and absolutely love it. And this year it's going to be a little bit different because I have created a board game. There is a Scientific September board game, which is pretty exciting. So I'm going to go through the game today. I'm going to go through some of the prompts and give you some examples of books that would fulfill those prompts. If you're keen to participate, please do so. I do it for myself, but I will be sharing all the resources in a Google Drive so you can access it yourself and play along as well. It's super cruisy. The idea here is just having fun and reading more books. That's all it is. And so I keep the prompts fairly vague and broad, although some of them are a little bit harder this year. All right, so you've got a few options. So there is this nice colorful board game, and you can print this up if you'd like. I have also provided a black and white version without a background, just to save on ink if that's what you'd prefer. And I've also included a sheet with just the prompt cards. So what you could do technically is cut them all out and just use them as cards if you don't want to play the game. So that's an option. You could also just number them and throw a dice or do some sort of random number generator. There's a lot of ways you could do it. I'm not policing this. You can do it however you like. Right, so without further ado, let's actually look at what this game is about. So what we're going to do is we're going to start up here, and you've got to travel around to the finish line. And depending on how many rolls you have, you're going to land on particular prompt spaces. Now, I'm going to use a six-sided dice for this. If you wanted to have fewer reads, you could potentially do, say, an 8 or 12 sided die. If you wanted lots and lots of rolls, you could go with four-sided. It's entirely up to you. I think with six-sided you can get anything from 3 to 7 rolls. I did that with a lot of test runs, so that kind of gives you an indication. So the first prompt is: you disagree with a colleague about taxonomy and need time alone. Read a book with one person on the cover. For this, you could do The Martian. My copy of The Martian just has Mark Watney's face on the front. My Life of Heaven has that as well. Aurora Rising, Way Station. It's basically any book, any science fiction or science non-fiction book that you have that only has one person on the cover. The important thing here is it's not two, it has to be one. That's what makes it tricky. There's also some non-fiction books that you could choose for this. So Napoleon's Buttons, which is about molecules, and also Neil deGrasse Tyson's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, that has a silhouette of one person. So yeah, so they could be silhouettes, they could just be close-ups of faces, they could be whole bodies, it doesn't matter, just one person. The second square is: you are reading a lengthy journal article on polymers and wish people would be more concise in their writing. Read some short stories or essays. So this is as many or as few short stories as you like. So you may choose to throw dice or use a random number generator to decide on how many stories you're going to read. You can also decide to read a whole collection or anthology. It's entirely up to you. They can be all the same author, they can be different authors. Just have some fun with it. Some suggestions would be Shadow Show, which is an anthology of short stories. Also Connie Willis's Time is the Fire, highly recommended. Ted Chiang's The Story of Your Life and Others, really, really good. Isaac Asimov, Living Space and Other Stories. And if you wanted to go for science books, You have Richard Feynman's 6 Easy Pieces, which are sort of based on his essays. And then you also have the New York Times Book of Science, which is basically different essays and journal articles that have been compiled into one. You search for fossils in a hot desert. Read a book featuring extinct animals or about the history of science. So that can be any extinct animal like dinosaurs, mammoths, dodos, absolutely anything that once existed and is now extinct. Or, as I said, I've made this broad because you may not want to read a book about dinosaurs, for example. And so then you can actually just read any book about the history of science as well. So for this one, obvious ones would be Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, The Lost World by Jules Verne, Raptor Red, The Tusks of Extinction, which is a short novella that has come out the last year or so. And if you want some nice non-fiction books, you got The Elements of Marie Curie, a great biography of Curie and her discoveries, and also Bill Bryson's A Short History of Nearly Everything, which gives you a really good history of scientific discoveries. You experience a mild earthquake. Read a book about geology or set in a post-apocalyptic or dystopian world. Some of the ones I would recommend are definitely The Day of the Triffids, really good about a plant invasion. Canticle for Leibowitz, highly recommended. Really, really enjoyed that. Very, very post-apocalyptic world. Station 11 would be a classic. The Hunger Games as well for a dystopian world. If you want to go for geology, you can go with Simon Winchester's Krakatoa, and also The Earth and Intimate History by Richard Fortey. All right, you come across a pond with strangely colored water. You decide to test it. Read a book about chemistry or with water on the cover. So with this one, it really can be a book with water on the cover that's not about chemistry or water, so that's okay. Some examples. Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. As you can see, there is water on the cover. The Rig is apparently set in water, but anyway, it's got water on the cover. If you want to look at some non-fiction books as well, The Disappearing Spoon is a great book about the discovery of chemical elements. Elemental, obviously, it's elemental. Chemistry for Breakfast would be one. Also Blue Machine there, so as you can see, not about chemistry, but it's got water on the cover, so it counts. You create a code to simplify your notes on the behavior of sea otters. Use a random letter generator to choose your next book. You can choose to use the letter generator for the author name or title. Doesn't matter, just pick one before you do it, and super easy. So that's a nice, easy, random chance one. You get caught in a severe thunderstorm. Read a book about weather or depicting weather phenomena on the cover. Here, just some examples. You can do ball lightning. You can see some lightning there. You can also see lightning in Roger Zelazny's Lord of Light in that particular copy. The Left Hand of Darkness has snow on it in the yin-yang symbol there. And Ascension has clouds in it, so that's weather phenomena as well. You could also go non-fiction, so Storm in a Teacup is actually not about weather, but it's got weather phenomena there. It's got storm cloud with rain, or you could actually just go straight weather and go the Cloud Spotter's Guide. Basically anything that has clouds, lightning, rain, snow, fog, clouds, anything weather related that you see on the cover. You consult with a colleague over the nesting habits of a rare bird. Read a book that is recommended to you. Now you can decide how it's recommended to you. Examples would be you've seen a review on YouTube, you've done an Instagram scroll, you've got a friend to choose a book for you, you choose a book that has been selected for a book club, a librarian might suggest it, a bookseller might recommend it, anything at all, as long as it's recommended to you. You walk through a dark cave with astounding stalagmites. Read a book that depicts a landform on the cover. So this can be tricky. Once again, it depends on your particular edition. Now, landforms are anything that are considered landforms. So if you go online and actually just search a list of landforms, there are lots, but I have thrown heaps of them into the explanation documents on the drive. So examples would be bays and canyons and beaches and caves, deserts, fjords, glaciers, islands, lakes, mountains, oceans, ponds, ravines, rivers, valleys, volcanoes, absolutely anything that's considered a landform. Examples could be Roger Zelazny's road marks, because you've got a desert there. To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers has a nice sort of like ravine-y looking thing. Terraformers has mountains in the distance, has a river. The Stainless Steel Rat has really cool rock formations. Can also kind of go left of field to some of the non-fiction. So A City on Mars, for example, has mountains in the background. So it doesn't even have to be landforms on Earth. And The Wave Watcher's Companion has a beach, so that would count as well. You rise early to watch the sunrise. Read a book of a light source on the cover. And this could be fire, stars, lamps, light bulbs, lightning, candles, Bunsen burners, lanterns, fireworks, torches, bioluminescence, computers, screens, lasers, absolutely anything that can create its own light. Examples, Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. There's a flame on my cover, at least. Isaac Asimov has some sort of explosion-y thing there. The Foundation series, my version. Isaac Asimov's The Gods Themselves as well also has stars, planets exploding. The Electric Universe non-fiction book has a desk lamp. We Need to Talk About Kelvin has a light bulb. And Neil deGrasse Tyson has some sort of star in the background there for Origins. So that's just sort of the examples of the things you might look for. They can be stylistic, they can be line drawings, they can be absolutely anything. Continuing with the light theme, you wonder how your flashlight works while wandering in the dark. Read a book of technology on the cover or in the title. Now I've made this broad with title and cover just to make it a little bit easier. Examples could be appliances. So if it's got like a toaster on the front, androids would count, robots would count, computers, phones, spaceships, anything like that at all, any technologically advanced weapons as well. Examples here would be Frederick Pohl's Gateway, because it's got a spaceship. Greg Bear's Darwin's Radio, because radio is in the title and that's technology. Ancillary Justice has spaceships. Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky has a robot hand. For non-fiction, you might have Breakfast of Einstein that has a phone and a laptop on the front, or Physics of Everyday Things, which has a toaster. You notice a pulsating light in the sky. Read a book about aliens or space travel. So this can be just aliens visiting Earth, it could be astronauts traveling through space, or it could be someone traveling through space and encountering aliens. It doesn't matter as long as it's got one of them. So I've included Peter Watts's A Blind Sight there. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet would count for space travel. Carl Sagan's Contact. Arthur C. Clarke's Rendezvous with Rama. Binti by Nnedi Okorafor has aliens in it. And if you wanted to go non-fiction, something like Packing for Mars would work. You trip over a vine in a lush rainforest. Read a book of plants or fungi on the cover. I have included fungi just to make it a bit easier. So here you could read Mushroom Blues, or you could read Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, because that has plants on the cover. John Scalzi's Fuzzy Nation, at least my copy has some nice plant life. Or you could go non-fiction and just go The Hidden Life of Trees, or The Secret Life of Fungi, or Other Lands, which has a plant on the cover. You add new test data to your database on pathogens. Use a picker wheel to choose your next book. So pretty straightforward. You can create a picker wheel with all your books or just a selection. It doesn't matter as long as they're science fiction or science. And similar to this, you find a prism and hold it to the light. Use a random color generator to discover the cover color of your next book. So the color here needs to be the dominant color on the cover. It can't just be a little bit of it. So you might want to create your own color wheel based on the books you have access to. You fall into a swamp and your watch stops working. Read a book about time travel or with time on the cover. Now, time there is in inverted commas. That's because you can be very loose about the way in which time is depicted on the cover. So this could include pictures or words related to time. So you could have the word time, you could have clock, you could have noon, morning, tomorrow, minute, instant, second, day, temporal, century, equinox, annual, bicentennial. You could have year, you could have eternity, evening, future, midnight, summer, winter, schedule, calendar, hourglass, watch, etc. So you could have a book that has eternity in the title, or you could have a book that has a calendar on the cover. So it doesn't matter as long as it depicts time in some way. Examples could be a straightforward time travel book. Connie Willis's Doomsday Book, highly recommended. Historians go time traveling. This is how you lose the time war. Obvious, this is about time travel, but it's also got the word time in the title. As Doomsday Book does, day would count as time. Station Eternity, eternities in the title. The Time Machine, classic. And if you wanted to go with nonfiction, you go About Time by Paul Davies, and that actually has a clock on the cover too. Or Time, 10 Things You Should Know, which is a nice short little nonfiction book. And that has an hourglass as well. And my favorite prompt of all, you carefully measure the distance between two anthills. Read a book with a mathematics-related word in the title. So this can be really fun as well. So you could have algebra, or average, angle, area, or calculate, or axiom, circle, divide, multiply, finite, infinite, formula, fractal, integral, irrational. You can have line or product or number or odd or parallel, permutation, power, prime, tangent, triangle, value, volume, zero, vector, anything like that. Any word that is related to maths in some way. And I have given you quite a substantial list in the document. If you're stuck though, you can also use numbers for this. Examples would be Tau Zero, also Ursula K. Le Guin's The Wind's 12 Quarters and the Compass Rose. Quarter counts as a mathematical term. You could have The Algebraists. You could have Permutation City by Greg Bear. You could also have non-fiction books such as Parallel Worlds by Michio Kaku. This is not about maths, but it does have the word parallel in it, which is a mathematical term. Or you could go a straight book about maths, such as Humble Pie. You examine a star chart and decide to research Alpha Centauri. Read a book with an astronomical term in the title. Also quite fun one here. Examples could be Andromeda or asteroid, aurora, black hole, comet, Big Bang, event horizon, eclipse, dark matter, gravity, galaxy, moon, nebula, solar system, satellites, redshift, star, universe, anything at all that is astronomical. And once again, in the document, I have given quite a list. Examples could include Andorra Pet and the Oort Cloud Cafe for Oort Cloud, August Kitco and the Mechas from Space. Space is a term. Michael Crichton's The Andromeda Strain. Or you could go Alfred Bester, The Stars, My Destination. If you wanted to go non-fiction, you could go with Neil deGrasse Tyson's Cosmic Queries, or Brian Cox and Jeff Forshaw's Black Holes. So they're just examples, super fun prompts. I really like that one as well. And here's a compulsory animal prompt. You stumble across a new species of frog and decide to name it after your dog. Read a book featuring animals. Now, this can feature animals in any way. It can include an animal in the title, a companion animal, an animal protagonist, an animal on the cover, or a book about animals. It doesn't matter as long as there's an animal somewhere. Examples would be Adrian Tchaikovsky's Dogs of War, and the rest of his series would count too. The animals in that country, the mountain in the sea, the secret world of farm animals taking flight, or the field guide to dumb birds of the whole stupid world. So you could have quite a lot of fun with this one. You study some new rocks collected by the Mars rover. Read a book about or set on another planet. And this can include real or imagined planets. So you could have Semiosis by Sue Burke, that's set on a different planet. The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury, highly recommended, all takes place on Mars. Martha Wells's All Systems Are Red, the first Murderbot book, is set on a different planet. A Memory Called Empire follows a diplomat who travels to another planet. Or you could go non-fiction and read Alien Earths, which is a search for exoplanets. Or you can stick closer to home and read The Red Planet, which is about Mars. And finally, you win an award for developing a groundbreaking cataloging system for soil samples. Read an award-winning book. Now, this can be a book that's won any award. Very, very broad. You can come up with countless examples for this one. It can include the Hugo Awards, Nebula, Locus, Royal Society Trivedi for nonfiction. It could be the Goodreads Choice. Could be any award that you know of, as long as it's science fiction or science nonfiction. Now, in the document that's attached, I have given you quite a list, and I've actually told you what award they've won in what year, so you can choose it based on that. Examples, though, very specific examples, might be Neuromancer, the Yiddish Policemen's Union, Hyperion by Dan Simmons, highly recommended, and one of my favorite books, To Say Nothing of the Dog by Connie Willis. If you wanted to go nonfiction, Stuff Matters, which is about material science, or A Very Short History of Life on Earth. But there's so many. There are so many books. So basically, those were just examples. You can obviously be quite broad on these. And the examples I do include in the attached documents are examples I'm aware of. So they're books that I have read and recommend, or there are books that are on my radar to potentially read. I either own them or they're on a wish list. And that's why I've put them on there as examples. If it's a book I have read and didn't enjoy very much, I haven't included in that because I didn't feel right recommending a book I didn't love. But anyway, great examples. Obviously be super creative in how you fulfill these prompts. And if you do come up with some good ideas, feel free to share them. That would be awesome. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to Scientific September. I'm looking forward to getting some good science fiction and science reads in, and I hope you can join me. That would be really cool. Until see you next time, take care.